Hello and welcome to News Central Now. I'm Darshan Usman. The top stories this hour. Kano Court reserves ruling on notice of criminal charges on former Governor Ganduje. US says it's still in talks with Niger junta over troops withdrawal. Now, South Africa's political parties make last-minute moves 30 days to polls. Details shortly. Let's begin by telling you that the Kano State High Court has reserved May the 16th for ruling on a motion on whether the state government should serve notice of criminal charges on the immediate past governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, and 7 other respondents. The charges are bordering on allegations of bribery, diversion, and misappropriation of public funds, including the purported acceptance of about $413,000 and 1.38 billion naira in bribes. At the resumed hearing today, the counsel to the 6th respondent, Lamash Properties Limited, prayed the court to mandate the state government to serve the notice of criminal charges on the respondents instead of through substituted means. Now, after listening to their arguments, the trial judge, Justice Usman Naabba, fixed May the 16th for ruling. In a shocking turn of events, Kogi youths advocating for justice for former Governor Yahaya Bello were reportedly met with aggression at the headquarters of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission earlier on Monday. Disturbing videos circulating on social media depict scenes of chaos as protesters struggle to voice their grievances amidst alleged harassment by EFCC operatives. The leader of the Kogi Youth Coalition, Otitoleke Richard, who addressed the press amidst the chaos, emphasized the importance of upholding the rule of law in all corruption cases. He condemned the reported attack, asserting that combating corruption cannot justify resorting to lawlessness. Meanwhile, 10 people have been reportedly arrested among the pro-Yahaya Bello protesters and many others injured.
Important national issue. We say we have a responsibility. We have responsibility. Now they are attacking us. You can see the EFCC said we don't have right. We say they don't have right to express our opinion. We cannot fight corruption with lawlessness. Nigeria is not a banana republic. It is impossible. Order. EFCC must obey court order. EFCC must obey court order.
Election stakeholders in Nigeria have called for urgent reforms in the nationals or the nation's electoral process. Now, this was during a roundtable in Abuja aimed at improving the transparency, accountability, and effectiveness of Nigeria's electoral umpire. News Central's Joshua Imarai tells us more.
Of stakeholders as they converge on Abuja. Political party members from several parts of the country say there is a need to ensure the efficiency and transparency of Nigeria's electoral system and deepen electoral integrity.
We have seen incremental progress in our elections. And as we discuss issues, or this issue is one thing that I don't want us to miss out. Things are not okay. We haven't arrived at a destination that we actually want to find ourselves as a country when it comes to managing elections. But we know that these elections, or the last elections, is not the same as the 1999 elections. It is not the same elections that we had in 2003. It's even not the same elections when you compare to 2007.
Some of them are urging the National Assembly to implement targeted reforms to improve the electoral process and addressing specific issues that will enhance the overall voting integrity.
The following are some of the issues the electoral review should address: the appointment of the INEC chairman, the national commissioners, and resident electoral commissioners. This will move the powers of appointment from the president to another independent body subject to the confirmation by the Senate. It will guarantee neutrality, impartiality, and independence of the chairman and resident electoral commissioners in discharging their constitutional responsibilities.
They are also calling on the Independent National Electoral Commission to review its collation process, considering a shift to result collation at the polling unit area or ward level.
When you go to supervise elections, your greatest challenge is whether any presiding officer will be killed or any election worker will be killed because of the location of the 8,809 registration areas or wards. By the time collation is ending at the registration area, and some of these registration areas are in riverine areas and in remote places, there is panic. And the moment there's panic, there's confusion. So I think that the commission must rethink collation at the registration area level because it's no longer working and creates challenges for poll workers.
The overview of the last general election is one duty many citizens think has become important. While all here acknowledge that significant improvement needs to be made to make future polls more credible and acceptable by citizens, some say the Independent National Electoral Commission needs to focus exclusively on overseeing elections and shelve the management and registration of political parties. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarai.
Thank you, Joshua, for that report. We'll take a quick break now, but when we come back to discuss more on this, we will be joined by National Chairman, Inter-Party Advisory Council, Yusuf Ntale. Stay with us. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. You're still tuned to News Central now. Now to speak with us on the call for reforms in Nigeria's electoral process by stakeholders, I'll be introducing my guest again. We did introduce him just before the break. I'm joined by Inter-Party National Chairman, Inter-Party Advisory Council, Yusuf Ntale. Hello, Yusuf. Thank you so much for joining me at this time. Hello, Yusuf. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
All right. So, Yusuf, speaking on Nigeria's electoral process and the reforms, how do the current electoral laws and regulations in Nigeria compare to best practices in other democracies?
Thank you. I won't be answering your questions directly. I will start by laying certain foundation to the issue itself. Today, we had an engagement organized by Yaga Africa that talked about reform and then presentation of a report for the 2023 general election and the reforms that are required. Well, some of the things we are looking at first, in the words of one of the speakers who represented INEC, and I subscribe to his submission, is that the reform should, the problem about enabling laws, guidelines, these are not the problem. They are like addressing the symptoms of the problem without necessarily addressing the source of the problem. The problem is about Nigeria and Nigerians. We need to know exactly what we want, and it's only then that we know how to go about it. Are we looking for a democratic system where people will have real dividends of democracy, or democracy that will just serve the interests of few individuals against the masses? And that will lead us to strengthening the spirit of nationalism, and then addressing a few underlying factors like at the cost of election, the economic benefits of political office holding in Nigeria, and democracy at the grassroots, which will take us to the State Independent Electoral Commission, because we're all looking at democracy at the state and then the federal level. And nobody is saying anything, okay, or want to pay attention to what happens at the grassroots because of the activities of State Independent Electoral Commission and the governors of the respective states. So these are the things we are looking at.
Okay. All right, Yusuf. But then what role does the Electoral Commission play in the call for reforms, and what changes are proposed for its structure or operations?
With the commission, is it an Inter-Party Advisory Council or INEC?
The council and INEC itself.
Okay. What we do, we are advisory bodies. Our Interparty Advisory Council is the umbrella body of all registered political parties in Nigeria. What we do is to come in, regardless of our different political ideologies and focus, but to come as one family to see how can we deepen democracy through inclusivity and then looking at the enabling law. But here, what we are looking at first is how can we grassrootize democracy? Can we deepen it at the grassroots level through the scrapping of state independent electoral commission? And why do I say so? You know, it's a fact in this country today that anywhere, any state that is being administered by a particular political party, that same party end up taking the local government and councillorship elections, how they want using the instrument of State Independent Electoral Commission, which is 100% in the hands of the respective state governors. And the moment you deny people the opportunity to elect who they want at the grassroots, or democracy is injured at all levels. You cannot build something on nothing. You can't continue to say we have democracy only at the state level and the national level without looking at what happened at the third tier of governance, the government that is closest, that have direct bearing on the lives of the people, which is closest to the people. So if we must talk about democracy, inclusivity in Nigeria, first we have to look at the local government and then the State Independent Electoral Commission. You see, the State Independent Electoral Commission, they do not have voters register, they do not have BBC, they do not have a polling unit and delineation of constituency. So everything they use for the conduct of this election is that provided by INEC. It's the same INEC that conducts election for state assemblies. And this will go down to the local government and the ward. So if INEC is conducting this election at the state level, what's stopping INEC from conducting the local government election? So we need to look at that. And then we equally talked about unbundling of INEC so that it can focus purely on conduct of election and then having other agencies, okay, as the Nigerians would deem fit, to look at registration and monitoring of political parties. Additionally, we talked about the appointment of the INEC chairman, at least the removal of appointment of INEC chairman from the president, okay, to a different body, or subject to the approval of the National Assembly. And then local government autonomy.
Hello, Mr. Yusuf. Hello, Mr. Nantale, can you hear me? All right, we seem to have lost Mr. Yusuf Nantale, but thank you so much for speaking to us on this. All right, Mr. Yusuf, okay. Can you hear me? All right, we lost you for a bit there, but, you know, still talking about, still on, you know, your point, we all know that, you know, technology has actually advanced in, you know, every area at the moment in most countries or most climes. So how would you say technological advancements should be leveraged in the proposed reforms to improve the efficiency and security of the electoral process?
We have something called by Beavers, which is a portal for warehousing of election of the votes. So the possibility of having only if the electricity or power is improved, but it is something that is feasible. So if the system, but in all,
All right, Mr. Entele, we sincerely apologize, but I actually have to end it here because your network is really, really poor and we can barely make out what you're saying. But thank you so much for speaking to us on this and also for your time. We appreciate it. All right, away from that, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has promised to govern with strength and integrity during a condolence visit to former Governor Celestine Omehia. Now, the governor said his administration will continue to support processes that advance the development of the state and noted that anyone who cherished and loved the state must not be part of taking it backwards. Fubara emphasized prioritizing the state's development and urged stakeholders to move forward together after recent elections. He stressed the need for collaboration, stating that unity is key for Rivers to compete with developed states like Lagos.
He loves the state, should not be party to anything, directly or indirectly, to bring us backward. We will continue to support every cause that will advance our dear state, Rivers State. And I'm happy to say, I've said it over and over, it doesn't matter the number of people that are standing with me. I will stand on that side of truth. I will not, I repeat, govern our dear state on my knees. If that was the purpose, I will not do that. I will stand to govern our dear state.
Borno State in Nigeria's northeast is set to establish a dedicated Hajj commission to tackle the problems of pilgrims. The state governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, made such an announcement during the inauguration of the 2024 Hajj Committee at the Government House in Maiduguri. News Central's Umari Kirawa completes the report.
Improved services, better logistical support, and enhanced overall experiences for Borno State residents embarking on the holy pilgrimage are what informed the need to establish a Hajj Commission. The Borno State governor emphasized the importance of providing efficient and seamless services to pilgrims, ensuring their safety and comfort throughout the journey.
We shall combat the pilgrims when they are going to be a commission on its own. Establishing commission reduces government spending also, ensures more accountability and transparency also.
This commission aims to address and resolve the various challenges faced by residents of Borno State during their Hajj pilgrimage.
Government of Borno State has done a lot. In terms of accommodation, the federal government is paying 3,000. No, the amount allocated for the Hajj exercise for accommodation is 3,000 riyals. But in order to secure a very good accommodation to our pilgrims, Borno State government decided to top the sum of 450 riyals per pilgrim. And then secondly, on the issue of flight schedule, let them choose their flight. Anybody who is on flight number 1, you will be in flight number 1. No more, no change.
The Borno State governor inaugurated the 2024 Hajj Committee that will ensure the welfare of pilgrims from the state.
Not only charge us, but let the riot act to the committee. I want to assure you that I'm going to implement the terms of reference to the latter. It is either you work or you resign. It is not, I agree with you, it is not the place to go and get tea. We have tea, we are absolutely having tea.
The 21-member committee will advise the government and ensure that pilgrims' needs and concerns are addressed effectively.
This time around, we are also going to improve on what was obtainable in the previous years with a view to putting stringent conditions in order to curtail the abscondment of female pilgrims in the Holy Land.
The plan by the Borno State government to establish the Hajj Commission will enable the coordination and management of Hajj operations such as registration processes, transportation arrangements, accommodation and support services. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umuru Kirawa.
In Nigeria, some are of the view that journalism is at the core of the country's development. The government and private enterprises are making sure that the growth of journalism is not shunned. They're doing this in very innovative ways. News Central's Chidinma Ona provides more details in this report.
Journalism in Nigeria and the world is constantly changing. With the growing involvement of technology, it is only normal that a media house catch up to these developments. This is why more enterprises like the Kensington Adebutu Resource Media Center are setting up projects dedicated to supporting journalists.
The professor has said it is going to impact positively on journalism. It's going to improve whatever they are learning. I mean, when you say resource center, resource means a place you go for research and improve on whatever you are doing. Definitely, it's going to better the loss of journalism in Nigeria.
Super resource center to impact skills and make better the best that we already produce. If you empower the press here, you empower democracy and you build a better society.
This project will serve as a center that offers a range of resources to enhance journalism and empower reporters.
I think that the establishment of this would help students to be more exposed. Some of the things I had, of course, they are unofficial, but some of the things that I had that would be done here, of course, would bring exposure to the students and would make the students get better.
So it's going to be something that is going to be very beneficial to the students, for the incoming student, and for us, so that we're leaving and hopefully coming back for our PGD, or maybe for our PGD too.
Okay, it's a resource center, which means that upon completion, students will have access to research documents and a facility generally where they can improve their learning in communication and journalism, of course. On a broad spectrum, I think the journalism as a profession in Nigeria can be improved or can gain new heights if more support are given to the profession in terms of human capacity building, facility development, and also education too, because we can only name just a few institutions that are concentrated to journalism education, like NIJ. There are not too many that can boast of being laser focused on training the future journalists in Nigeria.
In all, purpose-built facilities and workshops will provide comprehensive workspaces and vital tools for reporters across Nigeria.
Coming up after the break, U.S. says it's still in talks with Niger junta over troops withdrawal. We'll bring you details after the break. The news continues in West Africa, where the United States is still talking with Niger about the withdrawal of 1,000 American military personnel. The U.S. African Commander, General Michael Langley, who revealed this on Monday, said decisions on this will be announced in the coming weeks. According to the Pentagon, the talks began in Niger a week ago. Niger's military junta, which seized power last July, announced in March it was ending a military cooperation agreement with Washington, which this month agreed to move the troops and sent a delegation to Niamey to work out an orderly departure. In southern Africa, as political parties count down to 30 days before elections, all political parties are doing their bit to lure the voters in their corner. The Inkatha Freedom Party, one of the oldest political parties, says it's ready for the D-Day. The party has embarked on a dynamic and engaging campaign, reaching out to every corner of Durban and Zundunzi, as these are critical swing voter cities. Now, meanwhile, with Zuma's party, MK, new kid on the block, this year's elections are highly contested in KwaZulu-Natal, breaking the IFP's dominance. However, the IFP says it will announce more game changers on showcasing their strong, stable and diverse leadership, standing ready to serve all South Africans. Now, to unpack this, I'm joined by Chairperson, IFP National Campaign, Naren Singh. Hello, Naren. Thank you so much for joining me at this time.
Well, good evening to you, Dash, and good evening to your viewers, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity to appear on your national television.
Good evening. So can you tell us, Narendra, how prepared is the IFP for the upcoming elections?
Well, nobody will ever be prepared for elections in any country. We do our best, and in fact, our preparations for this 2024 election started the day after the 2019 elections, and then moved on into local government, which took place in 2021, where we did extremely well to control the majority of municipalities in KwaZulu-Natal. There's about 27 municipalities under our control now. And we've been moving along steady ahead in national parliament, in provincial parliament, and our local government sphere to demonstrate to the electorate that the IFP is once again ready to govern KwaZulu-Natal, and secondly, to play a very important role and meaningful role in the national government, as we did in the government of national unity.
All right, so talking about playing a meaningful role, what sets the IFP apart from other political parties in South Africa?
Well, as you said, it's a party that was started in 1975 by Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who is known internationally and very well known in Africa. He taught us, the younger members of the party, values that we should subscribe to and how we should go out to the electorate and not mislead the electorate, be very honest about the electorate, honest about what we're doing. And, that is why we've come up with the motto, trust us. Trust us to govern properly, trust us not to be involved in corruption, trust us to look after the interest of the people that we serve. And I think being the fourth largest party in the national government at the moment, we were the third largest party. And the things that we have said and done as a party has resonated with many, many of the people out there, not only in KwaZulu-Natal, but in South Africa at large.
All right, Narendra, are you concerned about the increasing dominance of the new party, MK?
Well, I think in any country, including yours, when there are new kids on the block, people get excited. We're not concerned, but they are a political party, registered political party. They have every right to be out there in the marketplace as we do. Our focus is not to condemn or criticize any political party, but to talk about the significant progress we've made as a political party in representing the interests of the people that we serve and putting South Africa first before anything else. But yes, any new party that comes onto the scene can be a factor, but it also causes us to accelerate and make sure we do much better and reach out to more and more people and get them to vote for us.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Narendra Singh, for joining me and speaking to us on this.
Thank you, Darshan.
Now let's move to East Africa, where people in the Kenyan village of Kamuchiri have recounted the experience of the deluge which hit their local area overnight after a dam nearby broke, killing dozens. Kamuchiri village lies close to the town of Mai-Mahiu, just north of Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Meanwhile, workers used construction vehicles to try to clear some of the vast swaths of mud carried along after the dam broke.
Somebody called me at night around 1:30 a.m. There is a sound for the water coming through behind our houses. So we come out and we come away from the house. After I'm calling the other people, I'm just coming to where the sound is water. We have seen all these disasters for the water.
When you say that,
watu wamekufa na ni wengi na tumeokoa watu karibu saa hii asubuhi tumetoa watu kama 12 na zaidi wengine hatujajua kama wamekufa kwa sababu wameenda hospitali kutoka saa 10 asubuhi.
When we were sleeping with my wife, we heard a voice. That voice came with a very big loud. I couldn't. I was called my wife. Wake up.
In business, the Naira has demonstrated signs of strengthening against the United States dollar, appreciating by 125 Naira to reach 1,275 Naira per dollar over the weekend. The new rate represents a 9.8% increase when compared to 1,400 Naira to a dollar it traded at the close of trading activity on Friday. Now, this came as the Senate, through its Committee on Finance, called for concerted efforts by all relevant stakeholders to rescue and sustain its stability. The Senate said there was an urgent need for concerted efforts to tackle the instability and continuous depreciation of the Naira. Now, to discuss this, I'm joined by economist Akin Fatunke. Hello, Akin. Thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Good evening, Nigerians.
It's a pleasure as well. All right, so Akin, what factors would you say contributed to the recent rebound of the Naira at the parallel market?
Again, good today, bad tomorrow, good for a period, bad some other periods. That is naturally expected, but I believe that one of the factors that I may be able to tick off my finger will be that the crude oil production, we're getting news that the crude oil production is being rigged up to about 1.4 million barrels per day. That is good news if it is not stolen. So there are a couple of ifs. I also think that the erstwhile attempt, very rigorous attempt by the monetary authorities, by the headmaster himself, I'm talking of Bodeso and his group, to recall the Burundi change, is also paying very well. And situations surrounding the fact that they have been calling for the fact that only registered operators under their ambits should continue to benefit. And we see situations where the open market prices is being cheaper that the CBN says to BDC. The third factor will be that the illegal economic behavior of holding, of round tripping, were wiped off, even though not commensurate with adequate production. So, Dapsi, you are hearing a clap with one hand, maybe like a clip like that. It's not become a clap yet because we are still not producing the way we need to be producing. So speculators, infractions, hoardings, and co, and the fact that we are looking at technology trying to come into the system, whereby you trace the bank account to the name of the bank accounts, to the visa applications, to issues surrounding the international passports, be able to trace, even to tickets, so that those who are doing a form of arbitrage or speculation are going to be wiped away. So, sale of dollars to the velocity chain, again, it goes without saying that the payment of the backlog is still making some waves. And Mr. President was at Riyadh, and he kept on still talking about these issues. And I think the world seems to be listening. Whether it's going to be short term, whether it's going to be short to medium term, and whether at the end of the day it's going to be a long term, by which point I am saying that Nigeria becomes very productive and we're able to tame the twin problems of inflation and unemployment, more, I dare say, more confidence will come into the market. So what we have just seen, basically, the fact that we are wrapping up production. Hopefully, we'll be able to use some of the additions that we have done.
Akin, quite a number of factors you've actually, revealed there. And when you started speaking, you actually talked about the instability of the Naira, good today, bad tomorrow. So how does this instability or the rebound of the Naira at the parallel market impact the country's overall economy?
Good. It's like your bench strength. You say you are going to be able to do something, and then people look at it. It's very harsh and difficult. Normally, inflation that's also dovetail on the ever-increasing dependence on dollar. By the time it starts to come down, and naturally, it will take its toll. It's like a relay race. At the end of the day, we might be getting to a position whereby we can enhance and inject the productive sector of the economy because we are so import dependent. The risk that is associated with making sure that we do our denomination in Naira, CBN is doing a lot in that direction. The round tripping that we begin to see and is coming to fall by what we see some of the state governors have been doing is coming to fall and it's being nipped in the bud. At the end of the day, Nigeria, like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said a few days back in Riyadh, will be able to find its own level and be able to compete with other currencies of the world.
All right, but what are some strategies that individuals and businesses can use to mitigate the impact of fluctuations in the Naira value, you know, at the parallel market? Because it seems to be a thing of concern for especially businesses.
I like to say very quickly, we have to be a bit patriotic. It's not easy. We have to try and trust more. That trust deficit is still there. And I think the executives at all levels, including the National Assembly, must come out clean as stakeholders to lead the way and show by example. The Senate Committee on Finance asked that all stakeholders must join together. What are you doing yourself? Can we begin to engender trusts by your budgetary system, by making sure you cut your coat according to your plug, lead the way so that the rest of us can follow. Secondly, I believe seriously that the technology that is coming in, by which Nigeria is becoming one in the world in fintech, whereby we can trace the money and that we can punish those who are offending. The EFCC just secured a court injunction to freeze the accounts of people who have been showing a lot of infraction. We need to put that in place. At the end of the day, trust to get back into productive capacity again. When we begin to see that, all state governors should step out there and help to tame this food inflation that is becoming unending. All state governors should also ensure that each time we do our fair allocation and it goes out there, the likes that we're beginning to see does not happen. And if it happens, we trace it, we punish it.
Akin, well, due to time constraints, we apologize, but we would have to wrap up here. But thank you so much for speaking to us on this.
Always. It will be well. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, the news continues. Stay with us. And now let's take a look at sports, where the Board of Nigeria Football Federation has approved the recommendation of its Technical and Development Committee to appoint former Nigerian winger Finidi George as head coach of the senior men's national football team, Super Eagles. Finidi George, who spent 20 months as assistant to Jose Peseiro before the Portuguese left his position as head coach of the Super Eagles, took charge of the squad in interim capacity during 2 friendly matches in Morocco in March. Finidi George's immediate task will be to guide the Super Eagles to victory in 2 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying matches against South Africa and Benin Republic in Uyo and Abidjan in June 2024. African Games medalist Matthew Kuti and Hope Udoka emerged as the new West African champions at the 2024 ITTF West Africa Regional Championships, which ended in Lomé, Togo. Kuti started his campaign from the group where he only dropped a game against Benin Republic's Kosi Akakpo. He then beat Koku Fani of Togo. Compatriot Matthew Fabumi, Mausi Agbetoglo of Togo, and Oba Kizito of Cote d'Ivoire to win the championship. Meanwhile, in the women's singles category, Hope Udoka beat fellow Nigerian Ajoke Ojomu 4-0 to claim the title. Still talking sports, Chelsea defender Thiago Silva will leave the club at the end of the season. The Brazilian, who joined the Blues on a free transfer from Paris Saint-Germain in 2020, has made 151 appearances for the Blues. Silva has gone on to win 3 trophies in that time, including the 2020-2021 Champions League. Silva joined the club when Frank Lampard was manager and has since also played under Thomas Tuchel, Graham Potter and Mauricio Pochettino. This season, Silva has made 34 appearances in all competitions for Chelsea, including 25 starts in the Premier League. The former AC Milan centre-back, capped 113 times by Brazil, said he hopes to return to Stamford Bridge in a new role in the future. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. We told you that Kano Court has reserved ruling on notice of criminal charges on former Governor Ganduje. We also told you that US has said it is still in talks with Niger junta over troops withdrawal. Finally, you heard that South Africa's political parties are making last-minute moves 30 days to polls. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.